Ever wondered if you've actually encountered a psychopath? Ever wondered what it might sound like if you had a chance to listen to them? Ever wish you had somebody that could help you interpret what a psychopath truly means, despite what they're saying? You'll have that opportunity next on the Predator Watch podcast. The Predator Watch podcast, sponsored by Church Protect, provides a brief overview of important current events in the news or issues of concern as they relate to understanding the nature of sexual predators, their characteristics, how their minds operate, how they operate, and what motivates them. They hide in plain sight, can smell an opportunity a mile away, and count on people not understanding just how dark their hearts are and how intent they are about always producing victims. Hello everyone, this is John Euler with Predator Watch. Thought I would do something a little bit different, but hopefully it will be educating or an educational experience. I'm going to walk you through my unscripted response to a video that has surfaced, an Allison Mack recruiting video for this NXIVM cult. And we're going to give you a little history. We're going to watch an updated clip on what's going on for her when she is released on bond for sex trafficking. So we're going to take a listen.
35-year-old Allison Mack exited Brooklyn federal court to a crush of cameras.
Were you involved in a sex cult?
Photographers fell several times. Mack said nothing as she made her way to an SUV.
Anything to say about the charges against you?
Hours earlier, her mother, Melinda, was also silent as she left.
Anything to say about the allegations against your daughter?
Tuesday afternoon, a judge granted bail, releasing Mack and allowing her to serve home detention at her parents' home in California. Prosecutors say Mack, best known for her role in the TV show Smallville, allegedly worked as a slave master, recruiting unsuspecting women to a cult-like group based out of Albany called NXIVM. They say NXIVM disguised itself as a women's self-help and empowerment group led by 57-year-old Keith Raniere, who sold himself as a self-improvement guru to the stars. But prosecutors say this was no self-help group. They say instead victims had to engage in sex acts with Raniere, who allegedly paid Mack. The women, they say, were even branded with Raniere's initials.
Mack is not allowed to use the internet, and she's not allowed to have any contact with anyone associated with NXIVM.
Another condition of her $5 million bond, she'll be monitored electronically. Her next court date is May 3rd, but she does not have to appear. Outside of Brooklyn federal court, Alice Gaynor, CBS 2 News.
Okay, we're going to go now to the recruitment video. Let me see if I can find it here. I find it interesting. First of all, she's not supposed to have any interaction on the internet, but isn't that interesting? Because the day before she's tweeting, and I haven't checked recently, she might even be tweeting. So if she's still tweeting, maybe the judge should know that she is, I get it. She's not interacting on the internet. She's just tweeting. So, she tweeted that, isn't it good to be with her mother, when in fact her own sex slave is now so brainwashed she won't have anything to do with her own mother. You can go on one of my posts and look at that. But we're going to now watch. The question is this. As Allison Mack is facing charges of being a key figure in what amounts to sex slave trafficking, the question is she a victim? Because she's facing up to life in prison. That's exactly what she deserves. But the question is this, because this is going to be floated in court. How much did she know, and was she used by this Raniere, Keith Raniere? Is she a victim, ultimately, of brainwashing herself? Well, the reality is she is one of the most profound psychopaths, white-collar psychopaths that you're going to find. It's amazing to find a female, and that's not a sexist comment, that's just the reality. You have more male psychopaths than females. Why? Because women tend to, and in a good way, tend to have more emotions than men. If you get a woman that's cut off from her emotions, that is much more profound. So we're going to watch this recruitment video, and I'm going to give running commentary so you can hear my own thoughts, and hopefully, though apparently Allison is not supposed to have access to the internet, if somebody has access to her, maybe they can run some of these questions by her. And I'd be happy to engage her in a public discourse so she can help us understand how she is apparently, my guess is she's going to say she's misunderstood.
For Jeunesse, I think, is the most gratifying thing that I've ever done. It's the most challenging thing I've ever done because it consists of working with a group of people in a way that is totally interdependent, meaning...
Oh, yeah, here we go. So it's working with people that are totally interdependent, meaning she's recruited these women. Now watch how she's going to describe this. These women now, they brainwash these people. Forget about the men, because the men get free sex. But these women now are schnookered, and watch how she parses her words. This is so classic of the psychopath. First of all, watch how she can look at you, look in the eyes of this camera, and she is just, look at the beaming look on her face. Okay, if you think a psychopath is hiding in the dark, right? Watch this. Here we go. We're gonna talk interdependence.
We're all working together, and no one is ever punished, and no one is ever told that they're wrong or they're bad. And
now, hold on. Where would that come from? Nobody asked her. We're going to start that again. She brings this up, one of the main things. First off, now watch this. Where did this come from? No one's punished.
For Jeunesse, I think, is the most gratifying thing that I've ever done. It's the most challenging thing I've ever done because it consists of working with a group of people in a way that is totally interdependent, meaning we're all working together and no one is ever punished and no one is ever told that they're wrong or they're bad.
Oh, really? No one's ever told that they're wrong or they're bad. That's all that they are told. And it's the most challenging thing she's ever done because she has to brainwash women like nobody's business because they've upped the ante, including she's branding them in very personal, literally branding them. So, yeah, the most challenging thing she's ever done because she doesn't want anybody to leave. You got to be pretty good to so brainwash someone that they're free to walk out those doors, but they don't.
And the most important thing in working on Jeunesse is the relationships in Jeunesse. And I'm not used to that. I'm used to the objective being met. I'm used to having like strict, hard, fast deadlines and lots of fear and punishment if I don't get it right. And in working for Jeunesse, there isn't any of that. So it comes purely from a place of self-motivation and self-direction, and that is really difficult. But
okay, otherwise interpreted as they work with these, or as they worked with these victims, they're able to take time. So there's no hard and fast time frame, which means they can, over day after day after day, chip away at the core of these women. I'm going to keep referencing as women. So they are not under any time frame. These women were subjected to an unending progression of this whole fluid process.
I would say that working for the Jeunesse is the most satisfying and purposeful thing I've ever done.
Now, did you see, first of all, how she's so carefully parsing her words? She's taking what amounts to a concentration camp and she's trying to spin it. But it's the most meaningful thing that she's ever done. Of course it is. She's making huge bucks, and she's now so deviant and twisted that this is the most unique opportunity she's ever had.
Watching the women who are involved in Jeunesse completely transform.
Oh, yeah, they transform, all right. I'm sorry, we're going to take it from the top.
Purposeful thing I've ever done. Watching the women who are involved in Jeunesse completely transform and evolve in a way that is so pure is such a privilege. And
okay, I can't stand this. Do you see that? It's so inverting. I mean, think about a pedophile, though these are different. Think about the same thing, though. that you're looking someone in the eyes and you're saying that it's such a privilege to see them transform. Well, they're transforming into a human zombie who's a sex slave that's free to leave, but now are choosing not to because they're so mentally and emotionally and spiritually twisted that they're staying. Let's take it from the top.
So pure is such a privilege, and really literally seeing people's lives path completely turn 180 degrees, where in one moment they really felt like this was all that they had and this was all that they could do, and then all of a sudden they come through Jeunesse and they start working with us and in our community, and it's like a whole nother life is born out of.
And isn't that true? Oh, they come and they're part of the community. Sure they are. It's like a whole nother life is born. That's exactly what the brainwashing process done. Now, how does that fit into sexual predators? Well, she is a sexual predator. So they totally invert reality. So before the person was free, now they are enslaved. Look at how she talks to them. That now it's freedom. Now a new them is born.
Their new experience of themselves. And that's an incredibly satisfying and gratifying thing to do.
Okay, there. Did you catch that? It's very satisfying and gratifying. For who? That's the heart of a psychopath. It's all about the chess master. It's all about watching the power that you have over someone, especially to perpetrate pain and to watch them sit there and take it. They get a high off of that. I'm going to back it up a second. We're going to listen to that again.
It's of themselves, and that's an incredibly satisfying and gratifying thing to do. I think it's challenging because I think Jeunesse is an organization that looks to all participants to be 100% responsible for themselves and their lives. So it makes it hard to blame people for mistakes that are made when you're always looking at your own responsibility and participation in the situation. But
now, what that means is this. If they begin to have second thoughts, if they don't please the slave masters, that they are in fact shamed, they are punished, and that's what they tell them. They'll say, it's not our fault, it's yours. If you're unhappy here, it's your own fault. You have nobody to blame but yourself. They totally flip the script, as it were. We're going to listen again. But you can imagine what they tell these girls. This is exactly how sex slaves, sex traffickers operate. Now listen again.
Blame people for mistakes that are made when you're always looking at your own responsibility and participation in the situation. But
now again, that'll be interpreted as, if you're not happy, it's your fault. And if you don't make me happy, it is your fault.
That's just hard for my ego and my pride. I think if the whole world operated in that way, we'd have a much more joyful and a much more efficient existence.
Well, there we go. Much more joyful. Now, who's joy? And efficient. I thought she was talking about that there's no deadlines to meet and that kind of thing. And all of a sudden, now efficient. Isn't that interesting? So, oh no, they had better produce.
The amount of time that we spend blaming one another is a little ridiculous. So working for Jeunesse is grounding and satisfying and humbling and wonderful.
There, oh, she's humbled, all right. She's humbled that she's getting all this cash and that she's able to have such a close relationship with all these people. It's humbling and it's wonderful. And look at her face. This is the face of pure evil, that she can sit there and stare at you. And that's why I want you to understand that if you think there's any sense of shame, if you're surprised, if you're looking for any sort of inkling when you talk to a psychopath, if you're looking for normal human emotions, they have none. This is all scripted. She's being very careful. She could run for political office, could she not? This is the artful working of a psychopath. Watch her face.
And wonderful. Wonderful.
Okay, we've got more.
This next question is awesome. It's, if happiness was the national currency, what would make you rich?
Now, you notice she's camping on and highlighting the issue of happiness. That's what sales always goes after. They go after two things. One, a sense of a lack, what's missing, as well as dangling a carrot. So she's going to talk about happiness.
And I think the answer to that question is bringing together people that I love the most in order to have a good experience somewhere doing something.
There. Bringing together the people she loves most. What do you think that is? That's the cult leader. And now she's going to tell them, we're going to define what it means to have a meaningful experience.
I love like putting together dinner parties. I love traveling with people. I love organizing spaces and experiences with the people that I care for the most that cultivate good relationships. And it's interesting because that's kind of what I do with Jeunesse, the women's organization that I work with. We use these tools and these structures in order to organize situations and circumstances for women to come together and create incredible relationships.
There. Tools and structure to come together and have incredible experiences and relationships. Again, look at how it's the art of language. Again, she's parsing things. But when you can have somebody that can stare at you, especially if someone truly does have, quote unquote, low self-esteem, and though you're starting to generate an increasing degree of pain in someone's life, you totally invert it to where you tell them that you're having a meaningful relationship. They're having a meaningful... Aren't we so close now?
So I guess I am kind of doing that.
Yes, you are.
And then on top of that, performing.
Yeah, there we go.
I love to perform.
That's all it is. Listen.
Can you tell? And I get to do that for a living, and I get to do that for money, and both things I do. So
yes, you do.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
This question's great.
You're so evil.
So when I first came into Jeunesse, I was confused and like, oh my gosh, am I going to be single forever? Am I ever going to be able to have a relationship? What's wrong with me? All this stuff. And very shortly into the program, I started to recognize and experience that what I was looking for wasn't about a relationship. What I was looking for was about an experience of myself in my life.
Oh, yeah, your life. Oh, she got an experience, all right. She's got the experience now of controlling others.
And once I understand how to have that experience of myself in my life for me, I can then have the relationship I want or not.
Did that even make sense? No. They've got this bizarre way of inverting language. But again, because she's such a good actress, it would leave those that begin to doubt their own intuition. It leaves them wondering, well, what's wrong with me? She seems to think we're having a good time, so I must be the problem.
But I'm okay in either circumstance. And going through my life and going forward into my life from this place with that recognition, I feel like the possibilities are endless. And I feel...
There we go. It's a whole new world. Okay. The cult leader, the psychopath, is all about sales. Yet look at what she is going to be doing to these women. She's going to turn them into sex slaves.
I have no fear in shooting for what I want. Ideally, there's no reason to settle because any way I look at it, I'm going to be good.
There. The psychopath has no fear. Bottom line.
That's awesome.
Okay, you see how brazenly she can look at the camera? That's how brazen a psychopath is. If you think you're going to win a discussion with a psychopath, you're wrong. If you think you're going to get truth out of a psychopath, you're wrong. If you think you're going to get remorse out of a psychopath, you're wrong. A psychopath simply plays chess, but they play for keeps. And they're all about creating pain and benefiting from that pain of others.
So before Jeunesse, I had tons of people around me all the time. I've always been a people person. People used to come visit me in my house and say they were going to Camp Allison because it was like, it was a party.
Oh, I can predict this. Ready? Even though I've seen it, I was so livid I couldn't even really focus. We're probably going to hear now. Now, first of all, look at the type of living room she's in. Very expensive. So obviously she has arrived. But she's going to talk about how she had so many people, my guess, how many people she had in her life, yet she had a void. She was missing something, and now this has been the missing piece. That is exactly the carrot the psychopath always dangles. That is how they recruit sex slaves.
Everywhere I went, it was a party. But I felt very lonely. And I didn't understand why. That didn't make sense to me. And I imagined the idea of like finding the most wonderful husband and then feeling intimate and, you know.
Okay. They speak to that kind of pain in women. Okay. They know that a lot of people are feeling that. And so that right there is the hook. That's the sales technique right there.
Finding that one best friend and then feeling like at ease in my relationships, at least with just one person. I was just looking for one person. And I didn't understand why I couldn't get that. You know,
And the reality is she didn't feel that. She's never felt that. What she's just done, what you've seen is marvelous and magnificent acting. She knows that that's exactly how the women that she's looking for, the grooming process, again, this is all marketing, that she's trying to put out there that she can relate to these women and therefore she can be trusted. We're going to back this up again.
I was just looking for one person.
Just one.
And I didn't understand why I couldn't get that. You know, I was so...
Again, watch this because this is all acting. This is 100% scripted. It's coming out of her. But watch, she's trying to put this together in her mind because this is 100% fake.
Good with people. I was so good in a living room, but I was so bad at intimacy. The format that the Jeunesse Tracks offers with the men and the women this consolidated, very intense structure where you are just diving into yourself and understanding how you relate to other people helped me to reveal all of these areas of insecurity, areas of just really basic confusion or lack of attention, like things that I had just never thought about or looked at in myself.
And she has just set the stage for what these women, what these people, but primarily women, are going to be expected to do. The structure, the intensity, they're going to have to reveal it all. Let's rewind that again, because that's exactly what they're going to tell these women. They're going to make them start to disclose very personal things to a point where now they are emotionally and psychologically vulnerable. Watch this. This is exactly what they will put these women through. And they will essentially say, no, this is what we did. And we told you, this is what you need to do. All of these
areas of insecurity, areas of just really basic confusion or lack of attention, like things that I had just never thought about or looked at in myself. The Jeunesse Tracks helped me open up and see so that I could start to build a relationship with me and start to be honest with me and then practice being honest with all the people in the tracks with me.
Did you see that? That is code for you have to disclose everything, and they will beat you down, so to speak, until you do.
And then that expanded out and out and out into the rest of my life, and now I have the most beautiful friendships with people that go so far beyond anything I could have imagined. And I have the most awesome experience with my family. And I can say with total truth that I look at men now and I'm not trying to find a future husband.
Well, of course, because you're in a sex cult. Oh, and she's got a marvelous relationship with her parents. Really? Well, it looks like when they were coming out of that courtroom, her parents weren't very happy. Oh, parents didn't know quite the depraved individual that they had raised.
And that is very freeing.
So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully some of that was helpful. That was my off-the-cuff remarks about a profound white-collar psychopath. You cannot trust them to ever be honest. Everything is scripted. And if you think that you can see red flags of these snatch and grab perpetrators, you're never going to spot the most dangerous, because these are the most likable, the most affable. And And these are the ones that are going to find the areas, the locations, the positions where they have the greatest access to the most vulnerable people. And quite frankly, churches being the easiest hunting ground, and then schools, and then other places where people will act with deference to those with authority. For Predator Watch, this has been John Euler. You've been listening to the Predator Watch podcast. I'm John Euler. To find out more about Church Protect, or to schedule a training, simply go to churchprotect.org.